watch the sun go down over the same old town, like so many times before. We look at the same old stars, battle the same old wars, like so many times before. And I know that we're not perfect, but I'm gonna miss all that we had. Yeah, I know that we're not perfect, but I need this night for the last time. Stay, stay. Know you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you stay, stay. Know you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay if you stay. If you stay. Know you're gone in the morning, but I'll be okay.
It's my favorite.
Oh my God, what the hell is that?
Theme wedding.
What was the theme? Humiliation?
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joy. On my channel I talk about whatever it is I want to talk about at the time, because if I take the time to put on makeup and real clothes, you best believe I'm gonna say what I want to say, okay? On my previous video I talked about my distaste and disdain for the content that people create for Black women, and how it a lot of times is not sensitive to our actual lived experiences. So you can check that out if you haven't seen that already. I'm wearing a veil. You saw the name of the freaking video. You know what we're talking about. We're talking about weddings. Not really weddings. I don't know why I said that. But we're talking about marriage. We're talking about marriage. We're talking about love. We're talking about the cornerstone of our civilization. We're delving into why it is we desire marriage, why do we do it, and I'm really excited to talk about this today. Last month, I celebrated my 10th wedding anniversary. 10 years of married bliss, if you can believe it. And if you don't, well, I got married at age 23. I married my college boyfriend. When I got married, I actually did not have a ceremony. I didn't have like an official wedding ceremony. I went to a courthouse and we did it there. Upon realizing that my anniversary was coming up, it made me start to think about, what should I feel right now about being married for 10 years? Should I feel a sense of satisfaction, a sense of accomplishment? Should I pat myself on the back? Like what are the thoughts? What are the feelings? And like it really just kind of made me think and rehab the conversation with myself about, why did I even get married anyway? So I just went looking and did some research and decided to do a video on why it is that we get married. I really wanted to delve into what are our motivations for getting married, for making that lifetime commitment with another person. Pew Research Center did a poll on this, and they asked, I don't even know how many people, but they asked some people, what is the reason that you decided to get married? And the top 3 answers were, number 1, love, number 2, companionship, and number 3, a desire to formally commit to another person. So romantic love is something that's introduced to us early on. I remember as a little girl, there was not a Disney movie that at that time, that did not have a love interest. There was not a Disney princess who did not have a prince. Every time there was a female heroine, there was a boyfriend for her and a future husband. Every Disney movie had romantic love as a pretty central point of the plot. There's a whole holiday dedicated to romantic love. Valentine's Day, depending on your status that year, it could be an amazing day or it could be an awful day. I mean, I've had both experiences. And then romantic comedies, they had such a huge major moment, like in the 90s and the 2000s. Like, they made so much money. They literally made stars out of the actors and actresses that were a part of them, like Julia Roberts, Tom Hanks, Jennifer Lopez, just to name a few. A lot of their major blockbuster hits were romantic comedies and romance novels. Like, romance novels are by far my favorite genre of book, period. There's no other type of book for me that really takes me away from like where I am. The romance novel genre has really been like reinvigorated with the pandemic. So people are bored at home, we too scared to go on a date because we don't want to kill somebody or have somebody kill us. What's a safe alternative? Pick up a book. Read about that relationship. COVID doesn't exist in that world. Love is big business. Like, people really do invest a lot of money into love. So when I looked for the definition of love, it said that love is an intense feeling of deep connection and affection with another person. And I was like, oh, okay, deep connection. I always thought of love like mysterious force. You can't explain it, you can't make sense of it. It just comes and it just sweeps you away. And I mean, I still kind of feel that way to an extent, but when you actually like look at the definitions of love and you see that it's like what romantic love really is just being blown away by another person. Like, that's all it is. Their personality, you're in amazement of their personality and like who they are. You know, you have a connection with someone, you relate to that person and you enjoy being around them. You enjoy the way they look, the way they laugh, the way they dress, the way they smell. I kind of like breaking it down like that. When you fall in love with someone, it makes sense to want to be with them. And so marriage is like that perfect solution. I will marry them and I will be with them all the time. Socially acceptable way to like stalk someone. The thing about marrying for love though is if you marry someone for love because they make you feel a certain way when you're around them, what happens when those things change? What happens when your taste changes? Change is inevitable as time goes on. We are going to be different people. We grow older. And so I think that marrying for love is, on paper, it sounds harmless and it sounds even maybe like sweet. But when you kind of break it down, it's like, if that's the anchor that holds you to that person, what happens when that love is gone? Do you stay with them? Do you stay together? People have their opinions on arranged marriage, but being married is constantly making a decision to get along with that person, making the decision to care, to do caring acts for that person. I don't really see how that would be much different in an arranged marriage versus falling in love and choosing your own spouse, because the concept, what you have to do is the same thing. As time goes on and your emotions change, you still have to do those acts in order to keep the relationship strong. And the second highest reason that people choose to get married is companionship. Okay. We don't want to die alone. We don't want to die alone, but then also there's more to it. It's like, we don't want to be alone. We don't want to live alone. There was a period of time where I was genuinely lonely. I mean, I had moved around a lot as a kid. I didn't have like a long lasting friendship. I didn't have like the friends that I did have, I didn't have super deep relationships with them. I don't know, loneliness it's a feeling that nobody wants to feel. 66% of people admitted to getting married for companionship. Companionship can be defined as a feeling of fellowship or friendship. These people who have decided to get married, they basically wanted a lifelong BFF. That's like an underrated like perk of being married. When you marry someone who you kick it with, who y'all have the same taste in like movies and music and like y'all really get along, it's fun. I mean, think about it. You always have a date wherever you're going. Always have somebody to wear matching pajama sets with every Christmas. You have someone to hold your hand when you're scared on a roller coaster, when you get sick, when you get your boosters and you get the chills. Like, you got somebody to like go get you a cover and some soup. I mean, it's pretty like undefeated, honestly. But there is another side to this constant companionship that isn't explored enough. Research has shown that marriage weakens social ties. When a study was done, single people were more likely to be connected to the social world around them. They were more likely to care for friends and family. They were more likely to be politically engaged, more likely to be a part of like different community groups. For some reason, married couples look to each other to fulfill a lot of needs. They don't really seek outside of themselves for different things that they need, whether it be companionship, whether it be advice. It said married couples look to each other to fulfill certain needs that in the past were met by other sources, such as healthcare, financial support, self-development, and career coaching. The thing about being so close to your spouse is like you guys do kind of become like a unit. In so many ways, you don't need anyone else. Like, you don't need to call a friend because you got your husband and you know he's gonna say yes. That's the thing. I think when you're in a marriage, like, you're so comfortable with them. Like, you know them so well. Like, you know the things that annoy them and things that don't. You know, if you ask them for a favor, they're probably gonna do it. You don't have that same like guarantee in other relationships. Right now, if I was to call my husband and say, babe, can you go and pick me up some pads? Like, I started my period, can you give me some pads from the store? He would go and get me pads. If I called a friend or family member and said that, they'd be like, what's wrong with your car? What's wrong with your legs? Why you can't get your stuff? Like, I think it's like once you have tasted what it feels like to not have to guess, have that like weird, like, I don't know, feeling with another person, it's like, you just get real comfortable there. It makes you less likely to reach out to a person who is more uncertain. Marriage is a very important relationship. I don't like the thought that my marriage has maybe been the reason why I don't have close ties with my friends. Like, that kind of really makes me annoyed and upset. So I think it's something that you have to be more mindful of, and it isn't something that I have been mindful of in the past, but like now, like doing this research and finding this out, like I'm definitely gonna like be more intentional about that, like moving forward. Your marriage relationship should not be a substitute for all these other things. It should not be a substitute for a healthcare professional or for a mental health counselor. They don't need to be that. Like, I think that that also puts a lot of pressure on that relationship, which is not good. Outside of like the marriage relationship, there is no other relationship, legally binding relationship outside of marriage. You can't legally make your best friend your best friend legally. There is no ceremony to officially crown your favorite sister best sister in the world. Like, marriage is the only thing where you can like choose your person, like publicly and officially choose your person. So naturally this appeals to a lot of people. 61% of people said that this was the reason why they wanted to get married. So there's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to formally make a commitment with your significant other, but I do wonder if the formal commitment is overemphasized. I feel as though doing all those things and having the caterer and spending all the money doesn't really speak to your actual relationship. It doesn't say anything. It just shows your ability to throw a party. It doesn't speak to your level of commitment. When people think about getting married, a lot of times they do think about the ceremony, and that's where it stops. I've heard it say before, people plan their wedding, but they don't plan their marriage. And that's very true. I mean, I feel the same way about people having babies too. I think people want to have babies, but they don't actually think about raising children, raising a 10-year-old, raising a 15-year-old. I don't think people think that far ahead, but that's the same way it is when you're getting married. You're starting a new chapter in your relationship, and it's a long one, and it's gonna require a lot. And I don't know if people think through all of that and what that means. All in all, I'm trying to say formally committing to another person is great, but that's just step number one. Because the thing is, you commit to them on that one day, and you have to literally like recommit and recommit and recommit, like day after day, year after year, even when they're being their most obnoxious self, even when they're maybe having health issues, even when they maybe lost their job and like on paper they have nothing to offer you. You still have to recommit, and that isn't formal. That's just an informal, everyday life type of commitment that I don't think people really anticipate. But that's literally what marriage is. It's like daily recommitting to this thing that you started with them. So those are the top 3 reasons that people have stated that they wanted to get married to their special someone. But there's another layer to this conversation, another level to this conversation that was really interesting to me, and I want to talk about it here. Yes, people want to get married for those reasons, for love, for commitment, and for companionship, but people also want to get married because being married is a status symbol. People want to get married because marriage is seen in our society as the natural next step in adulthood. Andrew Sherlin wrote an article called "Marriage is a Trophy" for The Atlantic. He wrote this a few years ago, and he highlights that many do not marry simply for love. Marriage signals to the wider community the success of a long-standing relationship. And then he goes to discuss the Supreme Court ruling of 2015, Obergefell versus Hodges. And this is the Supreme Court ruling that legalized same-sex marriage. He states that within a year of that ruling, 61% of couples got married. Now, What's interesting about that number is that the vast majority of those people were older couples and couples who have been together as partners for already a long time. He says, why would they choose to legally marry after already demonstrating a successful relationship all of this time? Well, marriage in our society is a public marker of a successful union. It's no longer the first step to adulthood, but it is one that is taken later on. So marriage, basically what you do to show that you are on the right track, that you have made it, that you have all your ducks in a row, that your life is going well. People are waiting even later to get married because of finance reasons. Like, millennials and Gen X have had a difficult time with like establishing a good, strong financial foundation. Like, everything's ghetto here and everything costs too much freaking money. So people are grinding and trying to get a good job, trying to get their career started, trying to get that promotion, and they're focusing on that, and so they're putting off getting married because they want to get stable first. The problems with marriage being a trophy is that there are real life people involved here. Using marriage relationship as a status symbol, using it as a way to externally validate you as an individual is problematic. A lot of what undergirds people's reasons for wanting to get married is this: they want to be a part of the club, they want the trophy, and they want the status. Okay, so my camera just died and I don't remember what I was saying, but I'm sure it was really good. Also, my kids are playing and it's getting loud around here and I have to get ready and wrap this up. But I hope you understood what I was trying to say, and I hope maybe I like gave you some insight or whatever on marriage and what it is and what it can be, and maybe some things that you can think about before you commit to someone. Okay, give me a like if you like this video, leave me a comment if you want to talk about something that I said, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.